when you guys noticed that like you were going on it, like Ryan and David, when you guys started getting consistent in your marketing, and you started closing your one deal a month, what was almost like your breaking point? Because I know at some point along the way you're like, man, do I even want to do this? I feel like it happens for everybody. Like everybody comes to a point where it's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. What really made you stay consistent to like, okay, I need to do this. Like I want to be closing these one deal a month and then more and more and more. Like what kept it, I guess?
I can answer this, and I'll try to be short-winded. But so I have a family. I've got 4 kids and a wife, and so that was my motivation. That was like, I have to keep doing this. But I also went through a phase where I scaled way too big, too fast, and it burned me out. And I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's too much work. This isn't what I envisioned for myself. And many times Megan and I would sit back and say, I wish we would have just stayed doing like 1 or 2 deals a month and just left it like that. So what I would say is, don't feel the pressure or the urge. If you feel the urge, just fight it back. Don't feel the pressure or urge to like blow the business up and to scale and to hire a bunch of people and to do all this stuff. Just do what's best for you. If that's 1 deal a month, if that's 2 deals a month, and do that consistently so you're not exhausted. Like for us, it just exhausted us. And then it got to a point where I was working way more hours than what I was doing in my 9 to 5 just to keep up with this gigantic machine that I built. It was great. It was fun. I was helping a lot of people, but at the same time, it wasn't what we really wanted. We basically made ourselves a new 9 to 5.
Yeah, just a high
So
paying job, right?
that's it. That's it. So I would just say, don't feel the urge to compete with everybody. Like, you're going to get into a community where there's people that are doing 20 deals a month, and that's awesome. And you're going to feel like, oh, I want to do that. But think about, do you really want to do that? Or is that just something that's like that competitive itch is coming out and you're just wanting to match what somebody else is doing? Just focus on what's important for you and you only.
Thank you, Ryan.
What made you ask that question? You already tired of doing this?
No, I'm not tired of doing this, but there's levels to it. When you're first starting, and you're like, you start off, is this real? And then you get a deal, and then it's like, okay, how do I make this one thing a month? How do I start doing this consistently? And then it's like, where's the line drawn? Like, where do I pull myself away from the business? Where do I need to put more of myself in? And it's kind of hard just figuring that out. And like, okay, I know I need to do this now. Now I'm figuring out, okay, I know I need to do this to get a deal every month. And then it's like, okay, I know.
Do those things. Just do those things to get your deal every month, and then live your life.
Well, I think one of the things you're asking is like, well, what if you get tired of making the sticky notes, right? Well, when you're making consistent deals per month, like, hire somebody else to go put the sticky notes on the doors.
Yeah, just like try and take a step away. That way you're not like, man, I'm tired of doing this, right? Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. It's a concept called buying back your time. Once you have enough money, and the task of putting the sticky notes on the door maybe could be bought for $10, $12 an hour, your time is worth more than $12 an hour based on the deals that you're doing. So if you free yourself up to take a little bit less profit from those deals so someone else could put the sticky notes, then you take time for yourself, or you take time to go do something higher level in your business that's worth more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's how you would continue to replace your time.
Okay. All right.
And prevent a burnout, prevent you from building a business that you end up hating.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's definitely scary. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm only 8 months into this journey. I know. I have many, many years to come. But those thoughts always cross. Late at night, just thinking, and it's like, what happens?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the business, so that you're not tied to it. It's not another 9 to 5 job like Ryan said. And Ryan's done a good job of this. He has multiple people that work in his business that do specific things. I think transaction coordinating was one of the first ones that you hired, right, to make sure the paperwork on all those continues to move smoothly, so you didn't have to do that every day.
Yeah, and that was an easy hire too. I mean, that was a virtual assistant that was through a company that specialized in that transaction coordinator. And so I noticed Megan and I would spend, half a week just sending contracts and putting contracts together and making sure that the title company had what they need. And that was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I just want to go and find the deal and make the offer and find a buyer. Like, that's what was fun. I don't want to do the paperwork stuff. So
Yeah, 100%.
get that off my plate as fast as I could. And that got a lot of my time back. But then I took all the time that I earned back and started doing other things that made the business bigger, which was great. But also like having the realization of like, you want your time back. So don't do things to get your time back and then give it away to something else. So
yeah, I know you get your time
it's
back.
a hard thing to learn.
100%. It's like you get your time back and you're like, well, why don't I try and do more deals since I have all this time now?
Right.
And then it's just like you create this loop.
Yeah, you're making $50,000 to $60,000 a month and feel like you need to do more.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
What other questions do you have? We've got a couple more minutes right before we need to go to another call.
Okay. On the inside DealMachine on the list with the tax delinquencies, it says they're tax delinquent if it's any of the previous years or if they're currently active as tax delinquent, and they could be tax delinquent in 2014, but they paid off their taxes. Is it still going to show up there, or is it just like showing like a previous record?
So in the quick list, there's tax delinquent, and then there's a tooltip that explains how that's actually put together.
Oh, okay.
But if you go to more filters, then you have a lot more granular option to say what year exactly that they were tax delinquent in. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I would just go granular. That way you know exactly what year you're getting in.
Oh.
And so most counties release those previous years, like say the taxes were due in 2023. A lot of times those don't get released until like mid 2024, by the way.
Okay.
So that's why, like, if you went for tax delinquent 2024, you might not find anything because those haven't been released because they can still pay it. It's still in that year. So it's typically a year behind, but also the more filters will give you more granularity on that.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, all right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's everything now.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. And we'll check in with you again in a couple months.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys.
For sure. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.